ymgais rhyfeddol Simon Green, y marathon rhythwyr Llundain a'r Hydref Pedwerydd. Mae'n cyffrous cael clywed sut aeth y marathon a sut lwyddodd i codi arian. Bydd yn trawsnewid bywydau plant a phobl ifanc ac anabledd.
After Simon Green's virtual London Marathon attempt on Sunday, 4th of October, we were excited to hear how it went and how his fantastic fundraising is going to make a difference to young people with disabilities.
Many congratulations.
Oh yeah.
I have it covered now, finally, thank.
You're amazing, Simon. I couldn't believe it.
But I would get there because I'm looking out the window today and it's nice, it's sunny.
Yeah, sort of day you would have liked to have done it.
Like this last week.
Mm-hmm.
So I get there because obviously I predicted 5 hours at most. I was hoping 4.5, 5 hours. And I would have finished it in that time, but it was so bad. It was so raining and I was having to push like that on my wheels because I couldn't grip. It was terrible in the rain and wind, but you know, I had to do it last weekend, so you know.
Can I ask what when you first started, when you were at your start line, what was going through your mind and like how were you feeling?
I was thinking, oh God, look at the weather, because I was gonna start at 10 and I delayed it for an hour, thinking it might dry up a bit, but it got worse. It was raining so hard. And a few people had come out to see me off, and they all had umbrellas and coats on, the hoods up, and all in the shelter. And I'm like, oh my God, I got wheeling in this for the next few hours. Just thinking, oh, I hope I can do this, hope I get through. Because if it had been like weather like this, I would have been more positive. Would have thought like, it's going to be good. Hopefully nothing goes wrong with my chair. But with the weather, I was really nervous, to be honest, because the weather was so bad. I've never wheeled in weather that bad before. Certainly not that distance. It's maybe just from home to the train station or through town, but not done like 26.2 miles. And it dried up a bit for the last like 4 or 5, but it rained. I was already soaking wet by then. So.
And of course, did you find you were going through the wind, or was there, that must have been difficult?
I went from Pencoed, where I live, through Coedchurch, and then into the industrial estate. And it's about a 3-mile road. It's a long road. And the wind was right in my face. So normally, it's a great road to wheel on because they got a cycle path, and being a Sunday, there's hardly any traffic there through the industrial estate. But I did struggle. And there were some friends that were a place called Newbridge Fields, which is about 10 minutes from the industrial estate, said, oh, I'll be there about 12. But I was there at like 1:15 because it took me so long to get through the industrial estate because the wind kept on blowing me back. And all I was getting was the wind died down. So I thought, oh, when I go back the other way, because I was going back through the industrial estate on the other road, the wind's behind me, but the wind died down then I could just throw my arms and let the wind just take my chair. But I couldn't do any of that because the wind was so bad. But
yeah. And what do you think? What was the hardest part, and what did you do to get through that?
The hardest bit for the 2 weekends previous to doing the marathon, I'd gone out and done parts of it, not done the whole thing. And then a friend then drove me around certain parts. And although the hills were steep, I thought the hills were doable. But I didn't factor for the rain. Obviously gripping, pushing in the chair, the hills they're not ideal, but they're not a problem. But with the rain, because my hands kept slipping on the wheels, I was having to, and my hands got so cold, I couldn't grip, like when you push a chair, you grip with your hands and you push. But I was having to push my chair like that, and my hands kept slipping. And yeah, it was the hills, especially through Broadlands and parts of Kevin Glass, through estates that were difficult. And there's it's a hill I go almost every single day, Pencoed where I live. There's a little road going up to there's a railway track and gates that come down over the road. And there's a little hill that goes up to that. And somebody videoed me coming down the road and going up the hill. And it's only when the video, like, how slow I was, because I was so shattered. And yeah, I was absolutely shattered. And normally I just breeze up that hill, no issue. But I did to get up that little hill. But it was great because the other side, the finish line was all downhill. So I just stuck my hands in the air.
And I suppose it is just mind over matter, isn't it? At those points where it gets really tough.
It is mind over matter because it's a willpower. Because there was certain times, especially in Borderlands and Kevin Glass, which was quite hilly, that I thought, oh, how am I going to do this hill? I thought, oh my God, Longfellow Drive's coming up. You know, how am I going to do? I'm going to get up that in this rain. And when we were in Brackla, another estate, luckily I had a spare set of gloves with me. So, and a friend David had driven the route with me as well. And I got my spare set of gloves. It was much better then because I could push the chair. But then they got soaking wet as well. So it was, and thing is, because it was so much effort to push the chair, although the gloves especially made for wheelchair users, they big holy and they ripped and but yeah, it was but thankfully, like Global Leather, which make the gloves, have donated me a few, because normally they cost about 35-40 quid a pair, but they sent me they sent me quite a few pairs, but they sent me a pack with half a dozen pairs in, because I set out to do a number of marathons this year, but obviously they've all been postponed or cancelled, but I still had 2 left over, and so I took them with me. So big thanks to Global Leather, and I put their logo on my sleeve to do the race in.
Amazing. So I want to ask you a question. You know, those times where it's really, really, really difficult, or even if you're just, you know, moving along. I mean, do you take, apart from working out where you're going, you know, where do you take your mind? You know, what do you talk? Do you tell yourself things when it's really hard? Do you have a mantra?
There's 2 things. I got a terrible singing voice, but I tend to sing to myself. So I go and I sing. It's weird. Sometimes it's the last song I heard. So before I did the Seven Bridge 10K, I saw a friend of mine, and she played me a very rude song. I won't repeat it on air. A very rude song on her phone, and I was singing that, and I was swearing continuously while going across Seven Bridge. And then before lockdown happened, when I did the Collective Half, a friend of mine had given a lift, and their little girl was listening to Peppa Pig in the background. So I was going, oh, Peppa Pig, Peppa Pig. I was singing. So but also I look at something in the distance, or I know something's coming around, and I think, right, just get to that.
Yeah.
So say for the industrial estate, which is like a long straight road, so I can see like a building at the end, like the Cherry Laurel pub coming back. And I thought, right, let's just get to this bar. And then as soon as I get to the bar, right, let's get to Christchurch, right, let's get to Pencoed. And so you got something in your head, and you think, right, just go a little bit further. So say when I was in Borderlands, and there was a massive hill, and I thought, right, let's just get to the top. And I knew around the corner a friend was going to greet me, and I thought, right, let's get to see her, and right, let's get to the next bit, and so on. So
yeah. Is there a particular section of it that you're very proud of? You know, were there any bits that were so difficult? Because they talk about the wall, don't they, in marathons after so many miles? Did you have anything like that, Simon?
The wall hits, maybe running, the wall hits your legs, obviously, that wall. But
yeah, but what about your arms?
My shoulders, my arms.
Yeah.
And I think I hit the wall at the start, because it was really so much. It was just difficult throughout. But I have to say, big thanks to Justin Hostella Davis and Louise Bowman, who cycled through with me. And I don't think I'd have got through it with them, because, you know, they could tell I was struggling at certain parts, certain hills, that they kept saying, oh, come on, you can do this, you can do this. And there was the hill, I went through the Princess Wales Hospital grounds, out of Brackla to County Road.
Yeah,
no. And going into the grounds, again, normally I wouldn't have had a problem with the hill at all. But I was really struggling, and they were speaking to me, come on, you can do it. Help get me through it, because it was horrendous. Like I said, I so wish it was today, because the weather is glorious today. and it was glorious the 2 weekends before that when I was out practicing. So we just had Storm Alex last weekend, didn't we? So, you know, but the people
You're
that
gonna have to do another one, Simon. You're gonna have to do another one.
I will do another one because it's weird. I'm on radiotherapy at the moment. I was told that it takes 2 or 3 weeks. You probably will get some symptoms, as in the tiredness, extreme lethargy, and I have been getting some sickness. Luckily, tablets have sorted that out. Some nausea, but obviously this was a week into the radiotherapy, and I've recovered from the chemotherapy, thankfully. So I'm glad it was last weekend, because I don't think I'm starting to feel a bit dizzier now. Hopefully, you know, when the radiotherapy is over, this will end. So I was glad it fell at the right point. Let's say. So when this radiotherapy is done, 2 or 3 weeks afterwards, I do intend on doing you know, and something similar, another one. But unfortunately, everything's been cancelled. I was supposed to do the Mo runs, which are 10Ks in Cardiff and Swansea in November, and they've been postponed. And there's a big event in Nottingham, and it looks like that's going to be off as well. So it's gutted. And you can do all these virtually, but you know, it's not quite the same as going to an organised event. But saying that, I was gutted last week that I didn't get to go from Blackheath to Buckingham Palace and through London, but doing it in the hometowns you've always lived in, we've grown up in, was great because people who wouldn't get to London could come out. Yeah. You know, because the weather was so bad, I think more people would have come out if it had been like this today, if it had been like this then. But the people that did come out was, you know, grateful to them, because all on the route, people came at their houses. They knew where, you know, a rough time when I was going to come past their house. So and lots of people took videos and snapped me as I went past. So yeah, it was great, and a few people run some of the course with me, and obviously Justin Louise stayed with me the whole time cycling, and David White drove the route as well. So you know, thankful to them.
And tell us, you know, as you were sort of approaching, you know, what your finish line was, how were you feeling at that point? Were you just so exhausted, or were you able to feel sort of that elation?
Yeah. Bit of both. I was exhausted. I was coming through Pencod because I'd mapped my route out numerous times, because you have to do 26.2 miles, and about 100 yards to the finishing line, I was following the app, the London Marathon app, and it said, "Congratulations, you've done it. You've done the marathon." So I'd done it like 100 yards earlier. So I was like, oh, so it was weird. Although that hill zonked me, then I came down the slope to the Pencod Social Club where I finished, and I saw quite a few people were out to greet me, and the BBC had filmed part of the course as well, so they filmed. And then my friend's little girl, which I loved a bit, Lucia, she went up to me then, and it was when you just run 26 miles and a half miles through the rain, you've got to pick a 5-year-old up, put her on your lap. You're like, oh, climb me. So, but no, that was good. That was good. And I went past her house, my friend Kirsty's house with Lucia, and the whole street came out, and they had Go Southside t-shirts on, and were rattling that rattles and stuff. And the kids, it was like a scene from Rocky where they all run up the steps following him, and he goes like at the end, and all the kids run down the street following me. So that was quite touching. But Lucia, little girl, said, "Oh, can I come with you?" And I'm like, "No, I got 7 miles to go, darling. So go with me to the end. Go with me to when I finish." And she got upset because she wanted to come with me, but nah, you know, it's not. Sorry, darling. But it was something that normally the weather we had last weekend, if you saw it, you wouldn't even go to the shops. You know, you just do around milk or whatever you wanted to buy. But you know, I had no choice, to be honest. I had to do it that day.
And you must be immensely proud, because you were racing for Whizz-Kidz, weren't you? Can you tell us about and how much you raised, and the consequence of that? You know, how will they benefit, do you think?
Well, it was quite weird, because I'd go back about 3 years ago. I'd never heard of Whizz-Kidz, and I went to a meeting with the Welsh Government, and a lady called Jane Simonson, who works with Whizz-Kidz, introduced the stuff to me, and they invited me to one of their events because a speaker hadn't turned up. So short notice, I went along, and I was quite impressed. So I went to they had a surf mobility day where they teamed up with the charity called Surf Mobility, and loads of kids who were disabled went on surfboards, special seats on, and went out to the sea in Barry Island, and they had special beach buggies which took them. And it was the first time I've been on a beach in since 2003, since I became disabled. And then I said, "Oh, do you want to go?" So I actually went in one of these surfboards myself, and I saw how there's another charity called Speed of Sight. Now normally they help people who've got visual impairments drive racing cars. They drove around Orlando racetrack with disabled youngsters, and I thought that's never ever going to happen. There's special hoists there if they needed, and that sort of won me over. And then I applied for the London Marathon and didn't get in, and immediately I had a number of charities contact me, offer me a place, but I didn't have an affiliation to any of those charities. They all do great work, but because I don't have diabetes who care for, well, if I want to ask someone to give me a fiver, And then I saw that Whizz-Kidz had a place, so I applied for that, and I got it. And the reason I chose Whizz-Kidz is the amazing organisation. I know what it's been a wheelchair user myself. I know what having a good wheelchair means to me. It means I can live my life. I can do marathons. I can go about my daily business and do what I want to do. And there's so many young children who don't have the right wheelchairs, and they don't go out and play with their friends. Maybe they don't have a very good schooling. They can't go to school events. And it's not because of their disability. It's because they have a big, heavy, chunky wheelchair. But by buying the right electric chair or right chair they can push themselves is amazing, can change your life. So it did to me. I had a big, heavy chair, which my mother could barely lift into the car. It was a very generous grandfather that helped me buy a lightweight chair, and it changed my life overnight. So I knew how it could change life to these kids, and so Whizz-Kidz pay for the wheelchairs for these children, or help pay for the wheelchairs, and they do lots and lots of different days out. So I wanted to raise £2,000 for them, and I was gutted because of coronavirus. The collection I was going to organise at a rugby game and a couple of quizzes, which I know would have raised over £1,000, didn't happen. So I thought, am I going to get to that target? And it just went above the 2,000 the day of the marathon. And then during the marathon, and then a few days after, it went up to £5,500.
Right.
So I'm quite, and then there's other people that said they will donate on payday, etc. So who knows? So I'm very, very pleased.
Oh my God, Simon, that's amazing! You must be so proud and so pleased.
I am pleased because a wheelchair is an important thing. If that money can be help a young child get a decent, good wheelchair, or have a day out, but there was about 20-25 kids came to this surf mobility day, and they'd never been on a beach, they'd never been in the sea, never been on water, and just seeing the look of delight on these people, the look of my face, because I had to go myself, was great. And it was straight away I thought, right, got to do something. So as soon as I saw Whizz-Kidz was a chosen charity of the London Marathon, I thought, right, I will apply for a place, and I got in. So yeah, and it is a lifeline. It is a lifeline. People don't, because everybody thinks that, when you would you get everything for free, and unfortunately you don't. I mean, like when I became disabled in 2003, I had a heavy, it was a 10-weight wheelchair, which was really, really difficult to push about. And then now I have a wheelchair, I can pick up one arm. I can. It's great. It's lightweight. It's much easier to use. Much easier for somebody getting out of a car, and having that in place makes life so much easier. And I'm imagining if I was like 5 or 6 years old and wanted to go play with my friends, wanted to go to the park, wanted to go school trips, and I couldn't because of this heavy wheelchair, I'd be gutted. But having this lightweight wheelchair enables them to do it. So fantastic, to be honest. So
Yeah, I find it's an incredibly selfless thing you've done, because, you know, we've spoken before, and you have raised money for other people who, you know, need something to enable them to live a fuller life. And I'm just full of admiration that you've done it, you know, you've done it again, you know. Are there any other challenges you're setting yourself?
Well, apart from racing, maybe not. I do want to do a skydive. Unfortunately, I was out in Australia a few years ago and was going to do a skydive camp. Unfortunately, the day we were going to do it, the clouds came in, so they couldn't actually fly off to do it. So it was typical. It was like last week when I did the marathon. It was like it had been glorious for a week, and then the day I was due to do the skydive, the weather came in. So. But this year I'd signed up for numerous different events, numerous different marathons. It was all going into the same pot towards Whizz-Kidz, but they've all been cancelled because of the coronavirus. But the places have been deferred till next year. So if my fitness continues next year, if this brain tumor doesn't affect me that badly, then, you know, marathons in Manchester, Liverpool, Southampton, and then the London Marathon again, and the one in Newport, South Wales, and the number half will hopefully all be done, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. This and other stuff. And I tend to try and raise, if I hear about someone is having a hard time or is ill, like you said, like last year I did the Newport Wales Marathon and raised money for our local disability coalition. And that was going to be it. And I thought, never again, never again. And then a friend of mine, Helen, had this amazing offer from Prince Charles. Extra physio might get him more healthy, might give him more mobility back. But it wasn't paid for, unfortunately. So that's why I did the numerous marathons and half marathons last year to raise money to help Helen get the physio that she needed to get fitter and more well, which I'm happy to say has worked to a certain extent. So she can move her arms and neck a lot better than she used to. So that's fantastic. But Whizz-Kidz as well doing amazing work. So I'm hoping that this $5.5 goes up and up and up. And because I got my place through Whizz-Kidz to do the London Marathon, I'm hoping that to be able to fit to actually wheel London next year. So I'm actually hoping to do the London Marathon properly next year, and that will again be for Whizz-Kidz because I got my place through them and it's been deferred for a year. But I'd like to do. I've had quite a lot of help from the Brain Tumor Trust organisation.
Yeah,
I know that they do a lot, especially if people are on their own. They've been diagnosed with a brain tumor and they don't know where to turn. They do amazing work. So I'd like to do something to give them something back.
Yeah.
And they've sent me lots of information as well about living with a brain tumor. But one of the best things to do, I've been told by a radiographer who's treating me at the moment, is to try and be normal, keep your fitness up. Which is why I want to do these events. Like I'm feeling fit and well right now. So until the day comes where I don't, I'm not a stupid person, and I'll continue to hopefully to try and do these stupid events. There was quite a number that said last week, oh, put it off, don't do it. The rain, it's too bad. You've been too ill, and I'm like, well, I've got to do it. If I want that medal and T-shirt, which hasn't come yet. I was hoping that maybe I could show it on here, but I'm hoping that Monday or Tuesday the medal will arrive through the post.
Yeah. Send us a photo when it does.
Yeah, we'd love that. And also, I wanted to ask you, apart from two things like being fit and being absolutely bonkers, what else do you think? What's a toolkit really for somebody who wants to run? If you wanted to speak out to anybody who was a bit like you and didn't have the confidence, but wanted to run and wanted to do, a race for somebody else, what kind of toolkit do they need? I mean, obviously it must need immense drive to compete.
It's a bit of belief. Like I wouldn't say to anybody just turn up tomorrow and do a marathon. I mean, you do have to train for it, but during normal times things have been cancelled, unfortunately, at the moment. There's lots of 5Ks and 10Ks around in different areas. do a 5K, do a 10K to start. And even if your illness or disability means that you can't do a marathon or you can't do a 10K or 5K, there's always something you can do. Like we set up a dancing club with our disability group, so a number of people can only move one arm. Even if you can only move an arm, move that arm to the rhythm of the music, and it's great. You're being involved with something. That's what's I think improved my mental health, because staying in the house all day every day has can mess someone's mental health up big time. Looking at four walls. So getting out, training for this event and doing this marathon does help you. Does help with that. So it's described with the determination. And like I said, even if you can't do a full marathon, or you like I know I'm never going to be a David Weir and go to the Paralympics and compete, but just do something. If you're going to, even if you're going to move one finger, move that finger to the rhythm of music. Or if you loved your rugby, which I do, still go along. And if you love playing rugby, there's a thing called wheelchair rugby. If you enjoy hitting people, then you can carry on hitting people. So that's a lot of it is motivation. And with me, it's been told you can't do something. If somebody tells me you can't, like if somebody said you can't, a disabled person can't climb Mount Everest, I'd probably try and climb Mount Everest. But because a lot of people did say, "Oh, you'll never do this, you'll never do that," I like to try and prove people wrong, if that makes sense.
Oh, completely.
I can.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for talking to us again, and well done. We're so in awe.
No, thank you. Like I said, I did shatter myself, and luckily the bruising's gone down a bit. But I've still got this. My wrist is still a bit sore, so I've still got this thing on my wrist for support. But but I'm much better than I was. But it's a bit dirty. But that was my number.
Hey.
That was I did have one in the back of my chair as well, but that actually ripped in two. That got so dirty and so muddy that it ripped. So just doing the event in my hometown and raising that amount of money for Whizz-Kidz, and knowing the charity and people involved with it, and there will be much to good causes for good, fills me with joy, and hopefully it will some good will come of it, like it did with Helen last year, and the money I raised for our local disability group has gone to good, gone to do good as well. So yeah.
Simon, you're amazing. I want to help you do your skydive, so we can talk about that later, because I know that Dilys, she passed away, but one of her last thoughts was wish Simon good luck with this marathon. And she was big into skydiving, so we'll make sure that you can do it. And don't hold me to it, but I might do one too. Ah!
We will hold you to it. I will hold you to it.
Okay, we'll follow you for What's Your Story. We'll help you fundraise for that. If you really want to be that bonkers and throw yourself out of a plane, what can I do but assist you?
I don't like heights very much. It sounds stupid, but it is something I want to. I want to do. I do want to skydive. So I'll probably cry when I get to the top. Oh, I don't want to do it. I'll probably need to be pushed. And obviously, if this COVID crisis ends next year, hopefully there'll be a number of marathons and half marathons that I want to do. Watch this space. I know I got another 4 weeks of radiotherapy to go.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I expect it's going to be just rest now. Is it rest your arms, rest your shoulders?
Yeah, I mean, I've got nothing planned for the next 4 weeks, because medics did say that it's normally 2 to 3 weeks in. If you get any symptoms, that's what it is. It almost like a break. It comes, and I have been feeling towards the end of this week maybe a bit more tired than I was at the start. So I'm glad this event happened last weekend, despite the weather. So I was you know, I knew then after a week, likelihood is I'd be fit enough to do it, but after 3 weeks, 2 weeks, maybe not. So
no, you are to be commended, Simon. Honestly, it's fantastic what you've done.
or slapped.
Stay strong.
Yeah.
And, you know, if anyone deserves to get through this, you do.
Yeah.
And, you know, keep inspiring people.
Yeah.
Keep frightening me with the thought of a skydive. But, you know, you are an amazing example, and I'm so glad to have been able to record your experiences. And it's going to be unforgettable. You'll look back on this time and you'll think, did I really do that? Did I do a marathon in Storm Alex? There's no proof that nothing that human beings can't do. Thank you.
I tip my hat to you, Simon. I just think
completely.
it's amazing. It's amazing. Such a feat to do.
Thanks, Simon.
Thank you.
Have a good Sunday.
I will, and you guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Take care.
Good luck.
Good luck, Simon.
Thanks, Sarah.
Take care.